Okay, welcome to the November 22nd, 2021 meeting of the Easthampton Energy Advisory Committee. Jamie Paquette, current chair, and away we go. So we'll join, so we have Scott Tunderman and Marion Goldstein from the committee here, and Cassie Trigert of the Conservation Commission. Yes, joining us as well. Real quick, Scott, did we actually submit minutes for the last meeting yet? Or I think you did it right afterwards, if I remember right.
Yeah, I believe I sent them out. I haven't, I'm not sure I sent them to the city, but I sent them to you all. So I shouldn't have sent them because we haven't approved them, but once we approve them, I'll send them.
All right, well, I consider the motion here to approve minutes from the last meeting.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so minutes are approved. Feel free to go send those back out to us or to the city.
Okay.
Get those up there. Don't see anybody here for public speak unless my cat is going to say something. So I assume that we're good there. So next thing on the agenda is the ongoing discussions about municipal aggregation. So just some quick updates there. Been in touch again, still with the folks from Good Energy. They're just kind of waiting for us to get things ready for the next level, which is going to be taking things to the city council. I did reach out to councilors Zaret and Peak in the past week or so to try to get some discussions going around that, try to figure out how this would work. A good piece of information I did get from Councilman Peak is that it probably is going to end up going through the rules committee is where that would happen at the city council level. He is the chair of that committee. So we're going to, that'll probably be where the focus is, although, we'll still need some other champions within the city council to get a resolution.
Sorry to interrupt. There's like a crackling noise happening. Is that
okay?
Or you, or?
I don't know. Maybe it was me. Does it sound better now?
Yep.
A little bit. Okay. I blame my cat. She was like interfering with something. Yeah. So Councilman Zaret is very, very interested in continuing the discussion. We're going to try to set up a time soon to get together and talk about this in a little more detail. Start to give them some of the basics. I think they understand it at a basic level, but talk to them with a little more detail and start to get some next steps together. They did seem to think that, probably this is obviously going to wait for the next iteration of the council. Do we know exactly? I'm sure we do. I don't know exactly when the new council takes over. Is it in the new year or is it before that?
I don't know. I thought I had heard January, but I'm not sure.
In the minutes from last time, which I have up, Jamie Webb said that the new committee assignments come out in January.
Okay.
So whoever is on the ordinance and or rules and regs subcommittee might be where it would start.
Okay. Well, then, yeah, assuming that Tom Peak will still be in charge of the rules committee would be my guess, although I guess there could be some shakeups since Peg is not going to be there as the sort of president of the council. Maybe some changes there. I don't know, but again, they both were receptive to having a discussion. So post Thanksgiving, we're going to try to find some time to get together and talk about that a little bit more, and then with an eye towards starting to cobble a resolution together, something that we can actually get in front of, I guess, the council to send to committee, and then to have approved in committee to bring back to the council for their full vote. And I let them know that the mayor, has been briefed on this and is on board with it to this point. So that's kind of where we're at. So between now and our next meeting, I'd like to have them, more fully bought in, ready to go, and ready to sort of take things with a plan towards getting a resolution together, or the first step in front of the council, maybe in January, and then hopefully to committee and then back, maybe by February. So maybe that's, I've always been a little bit optimistic about the timeline here, so I'm trying to keep it realistic, but I think, there's something for us to push forward, which is good, and we have a little traction with it. So it's definitely positive. Anybody have anything else they want to ask or add about that right now?
There were, there were materials from Good Energy that this is really helpful having last month's minutes up as we're going through, because I'm reminded of all this stuff. That there was an action item for you to send those out to the rest of us, and I don't think I've seen them.
Thank you. I'm going to make a better note for myself to do that when we're done here.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I'll send those to the rest of the group. I'll send over some basic stuff probably to the counselors as well. So that way they can at least have a little something to refer to in advance if they have a few free minutes they want to look things over.
Okay.
Might stir up some questions that they have in advance versus me giving a fresh presentation. That's a good reminder. Thanks, Scott.
Right.
Okay, for the Green Community Grant Proposals and Annual Report Updates, Cassie.
Yeah, so the annual report was submitted. The grant proposal has been submitted. I haven't gotten any updates about their review. They haven't asked any questions, but they haven't given any notification of when they might complete their review. I don't know if you guys might know, like in the past, how long has it typically taken? Do you remember at all for past grant?
February.
March. Okay.
Wow.
February.
Okay. Let's see. I'm just taking a note real quick. And then, yeah, so I'll let you guys know whenever I hear back about that. But yeah, the annual report was submitted on time. With I haven't gotten any feedback about it yet. The only thing that we talked about last time was the narrative about the COVID, kind of how an added section this year was, how was COVID kind of an impact on our youth. And I kind of was able to just put in there, I tried to look at the MEI data, but just like we had discussed, some parts were up and some parts were down. And so it's really hard to glean like explicitly how it may have impacted our use. I mean, you can see examples for certain things, but I just kind of said generally that, any major anomalies are probably due to COVID in the data. And then I'll let you know if any questions come forward. Yeah.
I was gonna say, it is interesting to say, you've got the overall total consumption has been tracking down the last couple of years. But again, like you're saying, is that COVID related and building use related decreases, or are we really at an overall 11% decrease in our, consumption within the buildings? And it's probably a mix of both. It's probably not one or the other. It's probably both of those things. We're down some and we're down excessively because of COVID, but it's still overall, it's good to see that we are trending in that direction at least. So
I'm excited too, once they move into the new school building, at least I want to say the middle school portion is completed, and they're planning to start the demolition like in January, February of the existing building. So that's going to be huge when that all goes through. So
yeah, demolition is more going to be in the spring. They won't start into that, but yeah, they'll stop primarily doing much use of that except for minimal stuff so things don't freeze. But yeah, we are on track as a city to radically change our energy consumption based on getting out of primarily Whitebrook, but even the other schools too. Their consumption is overall much higher than what it has been, and the overall MMBTUs of moving towards being much more a electric heated space as well is going to reduce our consumption overall as well. So those are all good things with the new school building.
Nice.
Yeah, I would imagine with the existing buildings, even just the addition of air purification, right, and having to put all that into every classroom and just circulation stuff is like a big added consumption cost.
You even put different filters in the duct system, and your fans are going to be pulling more energy to push the same amount of air through. So all those things, yeah, definitely add to your overall consumption. So especially on systems that weren't originally built for the higher end of filters, but are now being required to be put in them. So.
Mm-hmm. So I would say, yeah, I mean, the current school buildings will still be in use for part of next year, but the big change from Whitebrook to Mountain View will be a big drop. But then for 2023, I bet then this is a more significant drop, especially if, at that point, maybe those elementary schools are kind of off the city books, if there's under some sort of other private or quasi-private, management, that's going to be a big drop probably overall.
Jamie, you're always so optimistic.
Yeah, I don't know. What should I be pessimistic about there? Maybe I'm just missing stuff too. That could be it. I could just be missing the downside.
We probably spent close to, I don't want to exaggerate, but I'd say between $50,000 and $100,000 extra on heating the Parsons School as they were processing that school building out of district to the city, and then to the city to a private owner. We spent several years and lost thousands and thousands of dollars of heating through natural gas to not burst pipes in that building. So
right. Okay, we'll see.
We're working on within this school system right now. We're definitely working on trying to be more on top of it and moving quicker than that for sure. So.
Well, there were a lot of lessons learned from that. I was not involved in that process, and that's where you have the voice of much more experience with stuff in the city than I do. So maybe I just haven't had the optimism beat out of me yet. I think that the process for this seems better than what was going on with that. School.
Agreed.
So yes, but so I'll retain some optimism, but I appreciate it being tempered a little bit. It's certainly, don't want to be all pie-eyed here. Let's see. Oh, so Cassie, was there anything more with the Green Communities?
That was pretty much it. I didn't know if anyone had any questions when I sent it off, if anyone got a chance to look and was confused or had questions about anything. I mean, it's submitted now, so kind of is what it is, but I'd be happy to speak to anything if something was concerning. But
looks good. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, I confess I haven't made time to read it, so I don't have any feedback or questions.
Your time and effort on that certainly appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
No problem at all.
More of that for next year, and then checking in on the progress of the grant proposal and thinking about other things we can apply for next year. Will the next grant cycle be sort of similar with like October due date for next year?
Well, they have 2 grant blocks, so there's actually one coming up sooner. Yeah. So
but
actually,
you have to. One of the requirements is you have to have spent the money of your current grant provided until you. But if it's buying a vehicle, we might be able to turn around that pretty fast and be able to put another grant request in. But
right,
that is one of the problems, and it did trip us up in the past. So
okay, that's a really good point. Yeah, I'm seeing that the dates for last year's grant block was, they did in, what is it? I can't see it. Spring block is due April 9th. It will be pretty quick. I'm thinking if we do get the grant, everything else is lined up to buy them. So hopefully it would be pretty quick. But yeah, it's a good point. We'll see, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if we had an idea that we could turn around quickly, for what the next grant would be, then we could look at a spring thing. But maybe it makes more sense to just think about the fall. Yeah. Let me
get something more formal prepared for the next meeting. But I remember talking about, there was the lights, conversion of the lights. That one kind of, for this grant block we had talked about, but it kind of got derailed because there was a component of ownership of the lights. And I talking to Mark Ravinsky, who's our coordinator, he was like, maybe we'll hold off on that one since the time frame that we were working with. And I feel like I remember we were discussing other things. So, if not for this April or, this coming block grant, at least, the very least, the next one, maybe something even bigger. So,
yeah.
Great.
would they consider paying for us or continued electricity use at the old schools while we transition them out of city ownership?
No.
No, I didn't think so, but figured I would tie it all together. Cool. Yeah. Well, if you have other ideas to bring to the next meeting, certainly anybody, that open to anybody. If there's something that you can think of that might be an interesting project municipally, one way or another, that the state would potentially pay for, or at least contribute to, that'd be cool.
It occurs to me that we could invite public comment with the Facebook group, but I'm not sure that's a good idea. What do you think?
To put it out there, say just solicit ideas from people.
Right. Like the city does this Green Communities grant process. What we've done with it in the past, and if folks have suggestions for future proposals, we'd be interested to hear them.
I personally don't. I mean, I don't think the 99.99% of people in this city have any understanding of where we're spending our electricity bills or any of our energy costs. So I don't. It's sort of asking for feedback from people that will not be really informed of what's possible, let alone what would be the smart choices. So it's not my recommendation. But.
The nature of what you can, the kind of projects you can do is like pretty like laid out in the grant. So it's wide ranging, but it's pretty like technical is what I'm experiencing, my understanding of it.
Right. And it doesn't improve our image to invite input and then reject it all.
Yeah, but you can keep it more open-ended too. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the context of the Green Community Grant. We do have aggregation listed there as like a social media thing potentially, but it could be, that as an example, but also like just kind of open-ended, like, hey, if you have any ideas, we'd love to hear them, whatever they might be, energy related for the city. Number one. Number two, bring those ideas to the committee itself by joining us. Our empty seats. Something like that. I don't know, but I think your instinct is good, right? If we can get public comment, if we can get public input on stuff, that's certainly a good thing, generally speaking, I would say. Okay, well, we'll come back to that in a second. Talking about the solar ordinance working group updates and input. I actually did want to say something, but Maren, I'll leave it up to you here first if there's anything you wanted to discuss about that specifically.
No, go for it.
Okay. Just in the aftermath of the recent meeting or two, I've just been thinking about it and sort of the context around it. And it was kind of interesting when it clicked for me. I was sort of like, well, this started because Owen had this idea of like, how do we promote solar in the city, right? How do we get more solar? How do we encourage it, with a legislatively or somehow, we want more businesses or more whatever to do solar. And what's happened in the course of this process, it's really morphed into something else now, right? Because now it's creating this whole overlay that's almost about like where solar can't be done in the city. And it's almost with like the opposite, like where do we want to keep solar away from? So rather than like promoting more in a way, it's kind of doing the opposite. It's kind of like putting large swaths of the city like off limits for solar, or at least making the barrier to entry like much greater. And in reading that, and then just like, going through a lot of other things that are coming across my path, I was just like thinking, I wasn't sure how to bring that up. I mean, I can certainly just like say this at the next meeting of the working group, and it was something I was maybe going to send to Curtis and talk about. One of the things I was seeing is that there's all these advances going with like agrivoltaics, right, and ways for like farmland and solar to coexist. And one of the things that some of these overlays are going to do is maybe overlay over on top of like all the farmland in the city. And it really doesn't think about like, are there complementary use cases that maybe we want to consider, rather than like saying like, okay, this stuff is basically off limits, like maybe there's interesting things that are being done could be stuff that we want to encourage here rather than like discourage. The first thing I saw was like in Maine, where there's like, blueberry farm that's also got solar on it, and the blueberries are being like grown underneath. And, there's all sorts of other things that are happening in different places. So that was one thought. That was just, and the other piece of it was I was, reading a bunch of other stuff where there's already a bunch of siting guidelines that other organizations are coming up with, like Audubon and American Farmland Trust, and others that are sort of like around like, what are some solar best practices for these things, or what are things that we want to see, because our goal is to protect farmland, or it's to protect bird habitat, or it's to protect whatever. And so it seems like maybe the working group hasn't taken enough into consideration like work that's been done by other organizations with similar goals that maybe are things that we could adopt that are, again, less than kind of a blanket like overlay that says, hey, solar's kind of like way off limits here. So, Marin's been at these other meetings, so and Cassie, I guess you've been involved in them too, right? So you all have a little context around that. So that's just some things I was thinking about that, and like thinking about how to bring those comments back to the group and like have it inform but not completely derail, a process that's been going on now for a little while. So I've opened it to any other thoughts or comments.
No, I think it's an ongoing process. I think it's a good conversation. I think there's definitely it is interesting to sort of listen to and follow the scope that is being presented, and the guidance in terms of those overlays, trying to balance, something that's not, in the end, if we really are just creating something that's going to be so restrictive that there's no point, we should just say solar's not allowed, basically, then we should be doing that. But we're trying to find some sort of balance in there, not being too far. I think we're being pretty environmentally, heavy on that, which is good. But it also means that it'll be, less likely to be built here compared to Westhampton or Southampton or somebody else. So, there's some balances there that I think we want to find. We don't want to just turn away that revenue or renewable energy production. But so I think we're doing okay. Personally, I think we're doing okay. I need to dig a little bit more into some of the overlay stuff that they've just recently added in, and hope to do that before the next meeting. So.
Yeah, and I would like to not abandon the sort of like, let's encourage solar in these, especially in these places where we see it as advantageous, right? Like sort of built environment or existing improved, areas that are not, pristine woodlands or farmland or whatever. And maybe focus a little bit more on how we can do that still too, versus just like focusing on these places where, it's more sensitive. And yeah, I'm with you, generally speaking, Maren. I think we want to be environmentally cautious, right? We don't want to just be willy-nilly about where we allow stuff to happen and the destruction or whatever that can cause. But yeah, so it's just didn't want to also, knowing what the challenges that we're up against, right, from the climate change, from a renewable energy, replacing natural gas and all the other fossil fuel standpoint, like the more limiting you are with that sort of stuff, the more challenges you put in place for like sort of your long-term goals. If there's any other thoughts from Cassie or Scott or anybody on that.
I don't necessarily have anything else to add. I think that is kind of like the crux of where we're at with the process right now, is trying to make this determination of, like Maren was saying, kind of finding that balance between having this more restrictive overlay and also, still wanting to protect some of these more farm spaces, some of these more open spaces, as those are, a different type of limited resource in the city, but then also, is it too restricted of solar? It's kind of where I feel like the conversation is at right now. So yeah, it seems like these next coming meetings are going to be pretty critical.
Right. As far as me providing feedback, do you think it's best for me to just like send stuff to Curtis directly, or to if I would send stuff to the group versus sending it to everybody, I guess?
Yeah, start with Curtis, and then he's good about like kind of sharing things with the whole group in the meeting in a like organized way, or just in, like it's easier. I mean, he's already going to be doing that anyway, so I think reach out to him first, and then he'll tell you like, oh no, you should say that. I mean, we can get into it during the meeting. You can like elaborate and stuff like that. But yeah, he's been very available, I feel like, for stuff like that.
Yeah, and he was specifically soliciting everybody's feedback the last time to like, hey, tell me what you think about where we're at so far. And so that I was already thinking in those terms, but then I found some stuff. I was like, well, I'd kind of like to share this with everybody, but then at this, I didn't want to like overstep or like start spamming people with a bunch of stuff. So I kind of caught myself like, well, let me bring it up at our meeting, and then I've got time to get it to Curtis beforehand or whatever. So.
Yeah, I certainly agree that, that we want there to be as much solar development as there can be, but there's no reason to do that on open land and destroy natural resources if, we can be doing it on rooftops and over parking lots. And I know that that's a cost factor for the developers, but I think as a city, that's where the governance level says, we're gonna steer things toward that direction to enjoy both the benefit of open space and solar development.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. Well, it just helps to have us discuss this as a committee, so we can bring some of this feedback back to the group over there too, to the larger group, and inform that. So I appreciate the input and the just sort of being sounding board, letting me work through some things. Sometimes I have to say things out loud and like talk to them to sort of fully appreciate where I'm at in my own head. So cool. All right. Well, I think I forget exactly when the next meeting that is. I think it's the week after next. So
I think the next meeting's on December 2nd.
Yeah, that's
Thursday.
in my head. So
yeah, I can't go. I'm going to be away, unfortunately. So, but I'll talk to you should reach out to Curtis, and I'll talk to everyone before.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, next the agenda, I have the Honeywell RFP. I don't have any updates on that other than it's my understanding that my name was possibly invoked at some point during a mayoral debate when this came up. I don't really know much more. That I did not go back and seek out any of that information, but I have not had an update from the mayor on this. I don't really know what's going on, but if anybody else knows anything, feel free to.
No, I have a note in the minutes that I was going to pester her. Nothing happened, in the context of the election. So I'll follow up on that. And there should be a report from the Honeywell, or the updated proposal. So we'll see if we can make that happen.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll put that on the to-do list here again, and just sort of ping them and see if we get the information on it. None of my optimism certainly not in full effect here in terms of having much impact or getting too much info on what's going on right now. But
right.
But we'll at least keep a finger up and test the winds, I guess.
Yes, I think there was a finger raised.
Yeah. May have been. Hard to get a good look at it. All right. Well, so again, I'll leave that on the agenda for now. I'm not anticipating it taking up much of our time for the foreseeable future. But on social media posts, we did touch on this already, kind of the, maybe soliciting some public comments or ideas, and kind of recruit maybe another member for the committee, and getting maybe starting to get a little bit of word out about the possibility of aggregation is something that that people might be seeing in the near future, hearing about. So
right. Yeah, if you send the materials from Good Energy, that will probably give me some language to crib for the Facebook post.
Okay, got it. Yeah, we'll do that when we get off here, and yeah, that sounds good.
Nice.
Hopefully we can if we get another member so recruited for the new year, more blood, more ideas, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cool. All right, do we have anything else? Anyone have any other new ideas, business to attend to discuss?
I do not.
Okay.
I think so.
Cool. Then we'll just need to do a quick decision-making thing on our next meeting. I have just keeping this with Mondays. I think I have the 13th and the 20th as possibilities.
I'm going to throw it out there. I wonder if we need one in December or if we should just regroup in the new year.
I'm actually more available in December because my fencing schedule will have suspended for the college break. But I'm okay with carrying over as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything here that needs.
If we get any interest from the from invitations for new members, it might be nice to have a day scheduled when folks could kind of meet us and talk about the committee.
Right. And
kind of use our meeting slot as our holiday party for the EAC. Come and meet the committee.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, then we could do it as like a little bit of an open house or something too, right? Put it out there, see if anybody bites. I don't know. So well, let's pencil one in, Marin, and then we can see. If it seems like we get close and we really don't have much to talk about, then certainly I don't need to submit an agenda, and we can push it to January.
Okay.
But Marin, do you have a preference between the 13th and the 20th if we were to pick one?
I guess pushing it to the 20th is fine with me.
Okay.
Do we want to do this same time, 4 o'clock?
4 o'clock's fine by me, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that works.
Do we want to go ahead and say the 17th for January as well then? Just to get ahead a little bit, just in case we do end up canceling or postponing the December one?
I am going to be out of state on the 17th. It's Martin Luther King weekday weekend.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, we should put that to the following week then too.
24th.
Yep.
All right, so let's pencil in December 20th, and then one way or the other, January 24th, we'll definitely have a meeting. And the 20th will be sort of on an if needed or interest-based need.
Sounds good.
All right, we'll stick with 4 p.m. unless something changes for anybody.
Sounds good.
Okay. Wonderful. Then, okay, December 20th, January 24th, 4 p.m. I'll have those ready to go for the next agenda. With that, I think we can bring things to a close. Motion to adjourn.
I will so move.
Seconded.
All right, all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Take care, everybody. Have a good Thanksgiving break.
Hope you find
it. Thanks very much. You as well.
Good luck turning that video upside down.
That's right. Wow, it's just a floating head now.
Just a floating head upside down. Even better. Glad I didn't stop the recording yet.
I do not understand what happened. I've even restarted my computer.
There's some checkbox in some setting menu that.
But it did do an update, but I can't find anything that it changed. So I don't know. Yep.
Maddening. All right.
Cool.
Thanks all.
Everybody.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.